Hey guys, it's Drone Excursion with another diversion. Real quick, I wanted to thank everybody that's been coming to the channel and subscribing. The channel's growing and it's a lot of fun. People are giving me some really nice comments and suggestions, and I don't know, man, it feels good. I really didn't think the channel was going to grow much, and it's been growing slowly, but over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, I've already gotten like another 10 subscribers, which for somebody that doesn't do this all the time and this is a first time doing a channel, it's really neat to have it just start to grow. So anyhow, just thank you to everybody that's been supporting and recently subscribed. And if you just found this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and become part of the family. So yeah, today I want to talk about the new DJI FPV system that just got announced. It looks pretty cool, man. It looks really cool, but there's a lot of hype about it, and I wanted to explain why I will not be purchasing it yet. As of now anyway, I'm not going to buy it. Basically, I'm definitely a guy who understands DJI and appreciates what they're doing. I've owned, the original Mavic. I've got the Mavic 2 Pro now. I've got the DJI goggles that work with the Mavic. So I definitely like what they got going on. They make things that work. They make things that are very user friendly. So in that regard, it's great. They're a great company. On the other hand, though, they have a lot of power and they have a way of like limiting the things you can do with their drones. And there's always like firmware updates, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. That being said, they have come up with a very, very good digital FPV system for flying drones. Okay, so for the longest time, the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, there's been companies that have been putting out digital systems for flying drones. And in case you don't understand what I'm talking about, so the camera in the drone is spitting out a digital signal to some goggles that you're wearing. And you see, from the camera's point of view on the drone, you see what the camera sees, and you can fly that way. And that's how the Mavic is. That's how Phantoms are. You can buy the DJI goggles, the big boxy looking ones, and you can fly their drones that way. And that's fine, because those types of drones, the Mavic and the Phantom and such, those are actually really kind of slow flying, like cinematic type of drones. So that system that they had, the most recent one was called OcuSync 2.0, and it had some latency, so there's a little bit of a delay. It's not real bad, but I think it's probably a good like half a second to maybe a second of delay sometimes. And that's not a big deal if you're just flying a drone that's hovering around and you're taking pictures and some cinematic footage and stuff. A little bit of a delay isn't a big deal. It is definitely a big deal when you're flying FPV, racing type of drones, freestyle drones, and you're going through obstacles and you're trying to avoid trees. You cannot have much of any delay, or you're going to hit the tree before you even see the tree. So that's what DJI has basically put out and mastered apparently. They have a new system that's completely digital, HD system, HD signal coming to your goggles, digital, and there's basically no delay. It's a very, very minimal delay. I think it's between the range of like 7 to like 30 milliseconds. Maybe it goes up a little bit if you're like far away, but for the most part, you don't feel it. You can't tell. It's just as good, if not better, than the current analog systems. So the question is, do we jump on board and buy this system? Because it is ideal in terms of video quality. The video quality is superb. It's like way, way better than what people are flying with their analog systems. So the reason I'm not going to buy the system yet is because I think DJI kind of dropped the ball a little bit in terms of what I need, and probably many, many other people need. For me, I do fly their drones, and I like their drones, but I really prefer to fly freestyle, and that's where the market is that they're trying to capture right now. The freestyle market, the racing market, those guys need to be convinced that this system is going to work for them. And for me, I don't want to buy another pair of goggles that only works with their system. What they really should have done is had their goggles have an analog receiver built into them that you can choose from, and you can still use your existing drones that have analog systems. You can still tune into other people's analog channels, and you can basically just use their goggles for both systems. That would have been amazing. That would have been awesome. Like everybody probably would have jumped on board eventually and bought those goggles because they can have both the analog and the digital option in their goggles. Apparently these goggles have an extremely nice screen in them. So I mean, there's if you had these goggles, there would be no reason to have Fat Sharks anymore. There would be really no reason to have any other types of goggles because they're basically as good as it gets. So, but they didn't include an analog receiver in it, which is weird because the last box goggles that they have, in fact, I own them. They're the DJI goggles, the race edition ones. They work with the drones, the Mavic and such, but they also do work with the analog drones, the FPV racing kind of drones. So why they didn't include the analog receiver in these goggles is kind of weird. So I think they really missed an opportunity there. They should have at least put an expansion bay in the goggles so that people could put a third-party receiver in it, like LaForge or whatever. And they didn't. But from what I can tell and what I'm reading, they do have an analog input, like a little, you can plug in your analog cord into the goggles, and you can choose, as an input, an AV kind of an input, and you can get analog signal that way. So, okay, yeah, that kind of works, but you're going to basically be using an external, like maybe ground station or something like that, or maybe you can hold like a little analog video receiver on your belt or something, but I don't know. They should have included it. They should have at least had an expansion bay to have people, give people the option to do that, but they didn't. So that's the main reason I'm not going to buy their goggles. Another reason though is that even though they say it's going to happen, so far they haven't really dialed in the option to have FPV, to have Betaflight OSD come through on the OSD in your goggles. So apparently the DJI goggles do have OSD. They say it's going to have the option to display all your Betaflight OSD settings, all your telemetry, all the information from your flight controller, everything that you would want displaying in your OSD in your goggles, you can have. But that is not even released yet. Like they say it's coming, but it's not here yet. So why would I buy it now? The reason I prefer to have those types of settings is I like to have GPS on my freestyle quads. I like to fly them far away. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos recently, but I was recently in Italy. I flew like a good mile or two out. I was doing mountain dives, and you need to have a GPS on that thing so you don't get lost. If you're flying somewhere you've never been before, a GPS is almost crucial. Otherwise, you may lose your drone. So when you have GPS, you can have in your on-screen display a home orientation arrow. So that if you can have that, even if you don't know where the heck you are, you need to come back to yourself. You just look at that arrow and you can tell which way to go. So that's the kind of thing I really need in my display, and as of right now, you can't even set that up. So it seems like the system's going to be great. It seems like they still just need to be doing some like perfection with it. They still need to update the firmware. They still need to decide, on a few things how it's going to work out. But I don't see the point of buying it right now. And then Fat Shark just announced that they have their own system coming out, which is also digital HD kind of a FPV system. And so, by the way, I think the only reason they even announced that is because of DJI. I don't think they were necessarily quite ready to announce that. So I don't think it's perfected. I think they probably just did it to kind of, give themselves a chance to sell, even any of their units at all, because once they heard that DJI made their announcement, they're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? Hurry up, just say that we have it pretty much ready, and then we'll just make sure we have it ready like as soon as possible. But anyhow, so the market's changing. The market is definitely changing. DJI made their announcement. Fat Shark made their announcement. There's probably going to be another one that makes an announcement soon. So digital FPV is definitely coming, but I'm not buying it yet. The thing is, like right now, it's hot. Everybody's paying a premium price for this kind of stuff, and it's not even like perfected yet. It's almost there, but the good news is like all the analog systems are probably going to get cheaper now. Like you can buy a top of the line analog system and probably start getting it for a good 30-40% cheaper than what you would have bought it for before people start putting out these digital systems. So So I'm going to wait. I think probably, if anything, the DJI FPV goggles, maybe the second edition, they'll do maybe just like they did with the box ones. They're going to have their own race edition ones or whatever, and it's going to be coming with the analog receiver built in, or like I said, maybe an expansion bay so you can put your own. I think they're going to realize that they should have done that. I think they're probably not going to sell as many of these units as they expected, and they're going to realize that maybe they need to do that. People have been talking about, you know, the actual transmitter unit, the video unit that goes in your quad. It's fairly big. If it can fit in a lot of, you know, a lot of freestyle, like 5-inch to 7-inch types of quads, it can fit, but it's not gonna at all fit in anything smaller, like a 4, 3, 2-inch type of quad. It's not gonna fit. So all those systems, all those guys that have those little, you know, micro quads and mini quads, and those are actually the quads that are selling hot right now because of all the FAA regulations. A lot of people are buying those because they weigh less than 250 grams and they technically don't have to register and those types of things. Anyhow, those are all going to still be analog flying systems. You know, that's all analog video that people are using. And there's no option to add this big bulky DJI, you know, transmitter, digital transmitter into one of those. They can't do it at all. So really, the new DJI goggles should have had an analog receiver in it so that people can use the most popular drones out right now, which are little mini quads, with their goggles. So they kind of blew it. I'm not really surprised, but I think they kind of blew it. I mean, they're going to probably sell thousands of these systems, but they could have sold way more. If they would have had analog receiver built into these goggles that was good, like had diversity and that types of thing, they would have probably sold, I'm guessing, at least 5 times as many of their goggles, of their systems as they're going to. So I can almost guarantee on the second edition they're going to have some type of an analog receiver built in or an expansion bay. That would just be silly for them not to. Okay, so those are my 2 main reasons. It's not even the price. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's so expensive. You know, I understand the price. The price is a little more expensive than the top of the line, you know, analog systems, but you're getting a top of the line digital, you know, view in your goggles. I mean, it makes sense to pay more for that. I mean, it's an expensive technology, I'm sure, as well. But I mean, once you go digital, and I haven't flown these goggles yet, but I have flown, you know, the HD goggles for the Mavic and for the, you know, Phantoms and such. I mean, I understand completely how clear the image is, and it's amazing. But to be able to have that clear of an image, an HD signal like that in your goggles, and to be able to fly through trees and do loops and that kind of thing, that's going to be awesome. I mean, that can potentially really increase people's skills and make people feel comfortable on the sticks where, you know, normally you can't necessarily see all that well, when, especially if you're going into a dark area and things like that. I mean, we've been making do with the analog systems, but the digital FPV stuff coming is going to definitely be way better than the analog. So I don't know, I'm gonna make the switch eventually. I think almost everybody's gonna make the switch eventually. My point is, I'm not making it now. So everything's gonna get cheaper, everything's gonna get better. Probably within the next year or so, you're gonna see they're gonna come out with a second edition, the race edition, you know, digital FPV goggles from DJI. And at that point, they'll have all the firmware probably, you know, dialed in. All the Betaflight OSD you can configure and you can set up however you want in the goggles. And yeah, I'm just gonna wait probably about a year, and then I'll jump on board. But what do you guys think? What are you guys gonna do? Are you already gonna buy these new goggles? Are you gonna wait? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know what you guys are thinking, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about it. And for me, even though, like I said, I'm kind of a DJI fanboy, I really like what they do, and I know they put out good stuff, I'm not convinced. I'm not ready for it. I'm not making the switch. So anyhow, thanks again, everybody, and welcome to the channel. If you like what you're hearing, if you're at all interested in FPV drones and the videos that you can get from them and all that kind of stuff, please subscribe. And if you click on that bell notification, you'll be notified when I put out a new video. I try to put out a new video. Sorry, the sun's right in my eyes. I try to put out a new video about once a week. And yeah, it's just good times. So guys, again, if you need a diversion, take a drone excursion. This is awkward. This is so awkward. Okay. All right. Have a good day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Wow, the sun in my face.